Wow. You should just do it. There you go. That's some easy advice. Just do it. I generally advise people to not take advice from a 27-year-old, but that is one thing that I can feel really confident about. I can say with 100% certainty that you will never have a successful small web company until you start a small web company. You can replace small web company with whatever the hell it is, but until you try, come on. So do it, please. And especially if you are in a position where let's say you've recently graduated college, or you're in a position where you basically don't have any dependents, any people who are relying on you for things like income or advice. Like you don't have kids, you don't have a lot of the responsibility that you have to sort of keep in check with something like a startup. When you don't have those things, you have a lot less to lose, and I think that's why it's such an appealing and enticing and smart thing. If you're going to try it, to do it as soon as possible, because then when you've got nothing to lose, the worst thing that will come of it is if it's a failure, you then have something on your resume that says you started and ran a small web company for 2 years. And that automatically is cheaper and frankly much better than an MBA. And when I make hiring decisions, fortunately we don't get too many people who have MBA on their resume, but I would absolutely, and I think most of my much smarter peers would absolutely value having started a company over an MBA.
How are you?
Doing well, man. Welcome to the internet.
Doing well. So I wanted to, I really love your site, Reddit.com, and I wanted to ask you, as a 15-year-old entrepreneur, trying to jump into the web world, having a few internships at CBS and CNET, I wanted to ask you, how has your business model for Reddit shifted when you first launched it a couple of years back to now? Like, how has your business model as a whole shifted as time's gone on?
And this is I think a relic of 2005. Our business model was, let's get popular enough so that our front page is a valuable place for advertising. We didn't even have ads on Reddit for months. And as an angel investor now, would I invest in myself pitching the exact same idea right now? Doubtful. If only because a lot has sort of changed after. You could get away with that sort of thing after the entire economic clusterfuck, and web advertising is starting to come back. But I think the most important lesson is just that ideally, if you have a clear revenue goal that's a little bit sexier than just getting popular and having ads, that goes a long way. But what you should expect is to change it. That's the most important thing. You will pivot at least once I haven't found a successful startup story that doesn't have some tale of switching revenue sources, model, whatever. And the best way you can sort of prolong existing in order to keep pivoting and learning is to also then be really cheap. That was something that Steve and I were fantastic at, and that's another asset of really just being young and ignorant, having just come out of college.
Right.
And you're a kid, right? So you know what it's like to enjoy a life of pizza and ramen and soda, not beer yet, at least, maybe a little, right? But to enjoy just the very basics to sort of get by. And it's when you have when you have a nice income, when you have weekends, when you have expectations of going out to restaurants, that you have to actually feel like it's a sacrifice. And so by being cheap, by sort of maintaining that aim of just ramen profitability, which is something that Paul, I think, very aptly coined, even if you don't like ramen, getting to this level of profitability where you can take care of housing yourself and feeding yourself, then you're really just keeping servers online. And the day we got acquired, that was the order of our expenses. Every month, the most expensive thing was rent, 3-bedroom apartment in Somerville, which was, I think, $1,500 a month, food, and we were not eating well, but well enough, pizza, college life, and then servers. And this is back when we had to order them from Newegg, put them together ourselves, and drop them off at the co-location facility. This was pre-S3 and EC2, and those prices are only falling every day.
Well, thank you so much, Alexis, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing, Tommy. And dude, so are you working on stuff right now?
All right. Yeah, right now, actually, I'm working with some angel investors down here and some ones out in Palo Alto.
Dude!
A guy named Alex Daly. You might know him. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. So Alex and I are working on a new project. We're trying to revive something that he started working on. He wants to put me back on the team for something called Akatu he launched, I think, back in 07 or 06.